this is it'd be your 5th year here, so you had 5 groups of receivers. Is there anything unique or different characteristics about the group in general?
I think the overall speed of the group to me stands out. Not the biggest group that we've had by any means, but I just think that a bunch of different those guys can really stretch the defense. And then you talk about the run after the catch stuff is something that we've seen a lot during camp. So that to me about the group really stands out.
To the to outsiders, the thing you hear from people is that this isn't a tall team at all from a receiver. Is that really that big of a deal, or I mean, what kind of an ass is it to have a 6'4", 6'5" guy out there that you can?
Well, I think you'd like to have a good mix of them, And Trayshawn Harrison's got some decent size. Jimmy Valson's a young kid that's got some good size. We have some guys in there, but I think that you'd like a mix of. You get down in the red zone area, or some of those third down situations where you'd like a physical, bigger body guy that can get you 5 yards at kind of like an Isaiah Hodgins we had a couple years ago. Was pretty reliable in that setting. But we've got some young guys, I guess, that are coming up. I see that way, but the other guys we just have to use them in a little bit different ways.
I guess you do have a tight end that's pretty tall.
Yeah. Yeah.
It sounds like the offense was a lot more competitive in the second scrimmage compared to the first one. When you watched the film and kind of analyzed it, what are some of the areas you felt like your guys took a step forward in last week?
Didn't have as many penalties, and then turnovers were still low. I think it was good. We didn't have a lot of bad snaps, ball on the ground. Those things were good to see. Less penalties in the first scrimmage, and then I just thought overall better execution from the first through the third group. I think just running kind of the same plays. You had another week of reps, another week against some of the defense's looks that they were given, and it was good to see guys go out. I thought we scrimmaged a lot better, like you said, in that second one than we did in the first one.
With the next couple of days off for the players, it's kind of like this technically might be the last day of fall camp as you come back. Talk about the game mode, how you feel about this offense as you get ready for the Broncos.
Yeah, I think it's coach has given them a couple days and just kind of a break, camp ending, and kind of get the battery recharged, get healthy again, and then us coaches to kind of really dive into the Boise State stuff and kind of finalize the game plan. I'm fired up about the group. I really am. I just think we've got a lot of guys on offense that have played a lot of football and have been in our system for multiple years. And anytime you have that, it's fun to game plan for those guys. And I think we have a lot of unique talent. Different guys, different skill sets. That I think as an offensive staff, it's going to be pretty fun to design plays and scheme as we get into kind of a weekly opponent.
How fun is it for you to have the Coletto factor?
Yeah, Jack is, awesome player. I just think the trust factor between myself and the rest of the offensive coaching staff with him. He played quarterback. He's called snap counts. He's done it before. He's been in short yardage, fourth down, critical situations for us. There's a real trust factor there, and then the kid's smart and tough, and you can win with those guys. So he definitely allows us to be definitely allow us to do some different things this year.
Jonathan had high praise for Jimmy Valson after the scrimmage. Where have you seen him make the biggest strides as a young player?
Yeah, I thought from the first scrimmage to the second scrimmage, he was one of the guys that really stood out in that second scrimmage. Made a great play on a go ball down the sideline. It was a tough catch down the sideline. He's a guy that's got some length to him and can run, and it seemed like the game slowed down for him a little bit. Maybe he was thinking a little bit less in the second scrimmage, and he played faster. And that's just kind of what we saw when we recruited him. And so it was good to see, and we just got to keep him coming. And I'm sure you'll see him this year.
Can you give me some perspective on what's the biggest thing for a younger player to keep in mind when they go from a fall camp style practice into the game prep style practices, I guess?
I think it's the biggest thing for me is not losing your technique, and there's a little bit less individual, more scheme, team oriented, less time for some of that stuff. And so I think it's the guys just making sure that they take all those fundamental things that we hit on in camp and techniques, and make sure that they're staying tight on those as we get into game mode.
You've got looks like you have about 7 receivers right now that could see significant playing time. Jonathan sort of hinted, maybe I think it was a Pac-12 media day, that maybe you might not play as many guys in games as you did last year at receiver. Can you see that, or do you think you're going to be as diverse with the numbers that go out there as there was in the last year?
And we're going to finalize that probably here the next couple of days as we get into the specific game plan, and I think a lot of it will be, hey, these are the schemes that we want to run, and which guys do we feel like do those the best, and then as we get the game plan more ironed out, I think some games it may be similar to what you see last year, and some games it may be a little bit tighter, and we're rolling with the top 3 guys, and they're just consistently playing more. But if we've got those guys talented players, and we want to try to get them on the field.
Did you feel like at any time last year that you maybe played too many receivers in a game?
Not really. The only one I felt like just getting a little bit used to it was that first game, the Purdue game. It was a little. I felt, and we were struggling in that game a little bit too, but we were a little bit out of rhythm. And I wouldn't say that was the biggest reason, but we were struggling a little bit, and regardless of that. But no, I don't think so.
Do you expect everything to be in as far as the offense goes at the end of camp, or is that something that you do the entire year?
I mean, a big part of it is, and there'll be some wrinkles and stuff that you throw in, but we're always just kind of picking from our core concepts, and feel like that we can dig into those and make them look a little bit different to the defense as far as maybe a personnel group or a formation, but it's the same concept for our guys that they have a bunch of reps at, and that's something that kind of really the philosophy of our offense and what we do, and try to keep it simple for us and complicated for the D, and just operate the things that our guys have reps on, and then splice in a couple wrinkles, to kill some tendencies and keep people honest, and then have our guys have a little bit of fun during the week.
How do you like the experience of Mahalchek's group, offensive line?
Yeah, there's been 3, 4, 5. That first wave of them, they've been doing it for, like I said, that's what I'm kind of talking about. Those guys have been around for a while, experienced guys, played a lot of ball, know the way that Jim is thinking, the way he wants it taught, really, really good in the technique, and I'm really excited. We keep them all healthy, and then we've been, developing that 6, 7, 8, 9th guy, and I think that's something as we go through the season that we got to continue to develop those guys and build that depth.
It felt like earlier in the season there was a bit of uncertainty of the identity of the offense. How do you feel like they've sort of come into their own now that you're sort of moving into a game week?
I feel like we've got an identity, and I think there's a couple different ways that we could go with the talent that we've got, based on how maybe a defense is going to play us a certain week, I think we've got talent at a bunch of different positions, and guys have different skill sets to where if a defense is going to play us a certain way, we can do this, and if they're going to play us a little bit more like that, it's pretty general without getting too specific, but I just think with the talent that we've got, we can go a couple of different directions, and we'll just kind of see how it plays out, I think, through the first, through the non-league games, and I think that will, our identity will continue to develop as we kind of progress through the first half of the season.
Is there anything in camp you felt like by the end you weren't able to quite get accomplished that you wanted to get accomplished?
Not really, no. I thought we touched on a ton of the situations, and had a lot of situations, particularly the last week and a half, and got most of the stuff. And with a veteran group, it's easier to get kind of the whole deal in, and felt like we got everything we wanted to be in and stayed pretty healthy. And yeah, I feel pretty good about where we're at.
You got some conversations with some guys coming up in the next couple of days. Some of those conversations are fun to have, and some of them are probably more difficult to have. Those ones that are more difficult, how do you approach those with the guys?
I just think it's shooting them straight and letting them know this is where it is and where we see it, and there's kind of honesty that way, and then giving them kind of some hope and some vision to the future on how that they can improve and improve their situation. And I think we've been harping on our guys is different guys embracing their role. It may not be the role that they want at that moment, but for us to be successful as a team, those guys really diving into that role, buying into that role, and doing the best they can in that role. And then I think as a position coach, giving him these are the areas that we need to continue to develop, to get you to where you want to be. And I think that most of our staff does a pretty good job that way.
Is the way the players respond to that, is that a big part of the way the season turns out?
I think so. I mean, I think in some cases each case is so unique. I think we've got a great group of guys that have bought into the culture of what we do here and want to be a part of what we're doing here, and understand that sometimes you're in a development phase and you're not quite there. And I think they appreciate the honesty that the staff shoots them in that situation. But there's always some certain individual circumstances that are a little bit different. But I think we do. I think we've got a really good group of kids that believe in what we're doing here and want to be a part of it.